Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss about third chapter of geography, that is drainage. In this chapter we have some important terms which we need to know. First is drainage. Drainage is a river that cover a certain area which helps to flow water from one place to another. Next is river system. When various tributaries join with the main river form a river system. For example, Indus river system. Here we have Bias, Satluj, Ravi, Chenab, Jhelum, Nubra, Shyok, etc. These tributaries join with the Indus River and form Indus River system. Another term, that is catchment area. When a river drained water collected from a specific area is called catchment area. Next term, that is drainage basin. So what is drainage basin? When area drained by a single river or a portion of land drained by a single river is called drainage basin. Here in this slide we will discuss about drainage divide or water divide. So it is an elevated area such as mountains or upland which separate two drainage basin is known as water divide. On the other hand, watershed. A watershed describes an area of land that contains a common set of streams and rivers that all drains into a single large body of water such as large river, a lake or ocean is called watershed. In this slide, we will discuss about various drainage patterns formed by the river. So, based on the shape and formation of the river pattern, there are different drainage patterns. First is dendritic. When the river form this kind of pattern, so this is an irregular tree branch shaped pattern or resembles like a tree branches. So, various rivers here like Indus, Godavari, Mahanadi, Kaveri, Krishna form this kind of pattern. So this is called dendritic pattern. On the other hand, there is another trellis pattern. So trellis pattern is formed when there is arrangement of hard and soft rock and rivers joined at the right angle with the main river and form trellis pattern. So Singhbhum in Chota Nagpur plateau is an example. Another is radial pattern. When rivers radiates from the main point, maybe in the form of mountain or plateau. So here rivers are radiating toward the different directions form radial pattern. In India, Amarkantak mountain is the examples where Narmada, Son and Mahanadi originating from the Amarkantak hill and form radiating pattern. Another is centripetal patterns, not given here, but this is opposite to radial patterns. When the river join the big lake or sea, so Caspian Sea is an example of centripetal pattern. Next is drainage system. In this slide, we will discuss about various drainage system. So based on the relief features, these are categorized Himalayan river and peninsular river system. So relief features refer to the mountain, plateau, etc. So here we have Indus, Ganga, Brahmaputra river system and peninsular river system. So one by one we will cover. Firstly, we will differentiate between these two. Himalayan rivers originate from the Himalayas and peninsular rivers originate from the Deccan Plateau. So mainly Western Ghat in the southern India you can see here. So most of the major river of Peninsula India originating from Western Ghat. Himalayan rivers are perennial, means flow throughout the years. On the other hand, peninsular rivers are seasonal in nature. Himalayan rivers receive water from the rain as well as from the melting of snow from the lofty mountain peaks. On the other hand, peninsular rivers depends upon rainfall during the dry seasons. Even the large rivers have reduced water flow. River basin of Himalayan rivers is bigger than the peninsular rivers, except some rivers like Godavari and Mahanadi. The examples of Himalayan rivers are Indus, Ganga, Brahmaputra. Examples of peninsular rivers are Mahanati, Krishna and Kaveri. So this was the difference between Himalayan and Peninsula rivers. Like human being, there is 3 stages of a river also, first, second and third. So one by one we will cover. So course of the river is divided into 3. First is upper course, then middle course and next is lower course. In the upper course there is a more erosive power of river. River originate from the mountains and vertical erosion is more because of the gradient of slope, because slope is very steep in the mountainous region, so vertical erosion is more, so erosional power is more in the mountainous region, especially in the upper course of rivers. On the other hand, in the middle course, rivers started to make meanders and form various other depositional features like floodplains. So here you can see when the rivers flow in zigzag form, so meanders are formed. In the lower course, the river forms delta and oxbow lakes, as you can see here, when the meanders cut off from the main stream and form oxbow lakes, and the deltas are formed at the mouth of rivers when river diverted into various channels because steepness of the slope is less and various sediments carried by the rivers are deposited here in the at mouth and form delta. So this was about course of rivers. Here river is in young stage, then mature stage, and then in old stage. So let's discuss more about Himalayan rivers. So here we have, first is Indus. So Indus river originate from Tibet near Mansobar Lake and flow towards west, and it enters in India in the Ladakh district of Jammu and Kashmir, and it forms picturesque gorge there in this part, and several tributaries like the Janskar, Nubra, Shyok, Hunja join in the Kashmir region, as you can see here. So these are the various tributaries, Janskar, Nubra, Shyok are joining the main river, that is Indus. The Indus flow through the Baltistan and Gilgit and emerge from the mountains at Atops. The Satluj, the Bias, the Ravi and the Chenab and the Jhelum join together to enter in India near Mithankot in Pakistan. As you can see here, these 5 major rivers are joining with the Indus river at Mithankot in Pakistan. Beyond this, Indus flow southwards and eventually reaching the Arabian Sea east of Karachi. The Indus plains have very gentle slope with a total length of 2900 km. The Indus is one of the longest river of the world, and a little over a third of the Indus basin is located in India in the eastern of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh and Punjab, and the rest in Pakistan. So this portion lies in India and in Pakistan. Next is Ganga river. So Ganga river originates from Gangotri glacier in Uttarakhand. Alaknanda river join with the Bhagirathi at Devprayag. From Devprayag the river is called Ganga. The Ganga is joined by the many tributaries from the Himalaya. A few of them begins a major river such as the Yamuna, the Ghagra, the Gandak and the Kosi. So these are the various tributaries of this river. So Gandak, Ghagra, Kosi, Yamuna. On the other hand, here we have Chambal, Betwa, Son. The river Yamuna rises from the Yamunotri glacier in Himalaya. It flows parallel to the Ganga and as a right bank tributary meet the Ganga at Allahabad, as you can see here. So here we have Allahabad. So this is the right bank tributary of Ganga. The Ghagra and Gandak and the Kosi rises in Nepal Himalaya. So this is Nepal Himalaya. So these rivers are originating from Nepal Himalaya. The main tributaries which comes from the peninsula uplands are Chambal, Betwa and Son, as we have already discussed. So these rises from semi-arid area have shorter course and do not carry much water in them. At Farakka, Ganga river bifurcate as a Hooghly and main river extend toward the Bangladesh and finally merge with the Bay of Bengal and form big delta there, that is called Sundarban Delta. Ambala is located on the water divide between the Indus and Ganga river, as you can see here. So here we have Ambala somewhere here, and the Indus river is in this side, and Ganga and its tributaries are on this side. So this is the course of Yamuna river. Next is Brahmaputra river. So Brahmaputra river system, here we will discuss about this. So Brahmaputra is known as the Sanko in Tibet and Jamuna in Bangladesh. The Brahmaputra rises in Tibet in the east of Mansarovar Lake, very close to the source of Indus and Satluj. So it is slightly longer than the Indus, and most of its course lies outside India, that is in China. So its flow eastward parallel to the Himalaya, reaching the Namcha Barba in Arunachal Pradesh, takes U-turns and enter in India. Here it is called the Dibang and joined by the many other tributaries like the Dibang, Lohit. It is called Brahmaputra in Assam. In Tibet, the river carries a smaller volume of waters and less silt as it is cold and dry areas in India. It passes through a region of high rainfall. Here the river carries a large volume of water, considerable amount of silt and sand. The Brahmaputra has braided channels in its entire length in Assam and forms many riverine islands. So one of the biggest island, that is Majli, is the biggest island, riverine island of the world. Next, we will discuss about peninsular rivers. So here we have peninsular rivers. These are the Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, Tapti and Narmada. So these are the major rivers. So first is Mahanadi. Mahanadi rises in the highland of the Chhattisgarh and it flows through the Odisha to the finally they merge with the Bay of Bengal. The length of this river is about 860 km. It drains drainage basin shared by the Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand and Odisha. So the cities here on the bank of this river are Cuttack and Sambalpur. So this is the map of this river. So various tributaries like Hatsio, Ib, Tel, Ong, Jonk. So these are the tributaries of Mahanadi. Next is Godavari. So Godavari is the largest peninsular river. So it rises from the slope of Western Ghat in the Nasik district of Maharashtra. Its total length is about 1465 km. So its drainage basin is also the largest among the peninsular rivers. The basin covers a part of Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha and Andhra Pradesh. The Godavari is joined by the number of tributaries Parna, Bardha, Pranhita, Manjira, Benganga and the Penganga. So because of its length and the area it covers, it also known as the Ganga, Dakshin Ganga. So this was about Godavari rivers. As you can see here, the map of Godavari rivers and the various tributaries which are joining Godavari here, and finally it merged the Bay of Bengal after forming a delta. Next is Krishna river. So this is the course of Krishna river. So rising from the spring near Mahabaleshwar. So it's a total length near about 1400 kilometers. The Tungabhadra and Koyna and Ghatprabha, Musi and the Bhima are the major tributaries of these rivers. The drainage basin is shared by the Maharashtra, Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. So this is the map of this river. So the course of rivers is given here, as you can see. So various tributaries are joining with the main river here, that is Krishna. Next is Kaveri. So Kaveri, as you can see here, originating from this point and finally entering in the Bay of Bengal. So Kaveri rises in the Brahmagiri range of Western Ghat and reaches the Bay of Bengal in the south of Cuddalore in Tamil Nadu. The total length of this river is about 760 kilometers. The main tributaries are Amravati, Bhavani, Himavati and Kavini. So its basin drains part of Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu, as we have already seen here. So Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. The river Kaveri makes a second biggest waterfall in India known as the Sibsamudram Fall. So this is the drainage basin of this river. Now beside these major rivers there are some smaller rivers flow toward the east. So these are Damodar, Brahmani, Baitarani and Subarnrekha. Next is the rivers which flowing toward the western side. So these are the important rivers here, and finally merging with the Arabian Sea. First is Narmada. So Narmada rises in the Amarkantak hill in Madhya Pradesh. So total length of this river about 1300 kilometers flow toward the west in Rift Valley formed due to the faulting, and on its way to the sea the Narmada creates a many picturesque locations, the Marble Rock near the Jabalpur where the Narmada flow through the deep gorge, and Dholadhar Falls where the rivers plunge over steep slopes. So Narmada basins cover a part of Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. Another this is another river, that is Tapti river. So Tapti rises in the Satpura range in Madhya Pradesh. So rises this is in Betul district. So it also flow in the Rift Valley parallel to the Narmada, but it's much shorter in length. So the total length of this river about 724 kilometers. So it merged finally in the Arabian Sea in Gulf of Khambat. So its basin cover part of Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat and Maharashtra. So the coastal plain between the Western Ghat and the Arabian Sea are very narrow, hence the coastal rivers are shorter in length in this region. The main best flowing rivers are the Sabarmati, Mahi, Bharat, Fuja and Periyar. Next, in this slide we will discuss about lakes. So India has a many lakes, so these differ from each others and in size and other characteristics. So most lakes are permanent and some contain water only during the rainy season. So there are some lakes which are the result of the action of the glacier and ice sheets. So while other have been formed by the wind and river action and human activities. So rivers origin resulted in the formation of lakes like Oxbow Lake. So some lakes like Spit and bars form the lagoons in the coastal areas like Chilka Lake and Pulicat Lakes and Kolleru Lakes. The lakes in the regions of the inland drainage are the sometimes seasonal. For example, the Sambar Lake in Rajasthan, which is a salt water lake, and its water is used for production of salt. So most of the freshwater lakes are in the Himalayan region. So they are from glacial in origin. Here examples are Buller Lake in Jammu and Kashmir, resulting in due to the tectonic activities. So it is the largest freshwater lake in India. The Dal Lake, Bhimtal, Nainital, Loktak and the Barapani are some of the other important freshwater lake. Here this map represents the various lakes which are located in various states of India. Buller Lake and Dal Lake in J&K, and then Bhimtal in Uttarakhand, Loktak in Manipur, Chilka Lake in Odisha, Kolleru, Pulicat Lake in Andhra Pradesh, Sambar Lake in Rajasthan. So these are the major lakes of India. Now let's discuss more about the importance of lakes. So lakes are important because a lake helps to regulate the flow of water, rivers, and it prevents the flooding, helps to maintain the maintain an even flow of waters used for developing hydropower and moderate the climate of surrounding areas and maintain the aquatic ecosystem, enhance the natural beauties and helps developing tourism and providing recreational activities. So this was the importance of lakes. Now let's discuss about role of river in the economy of India. So rivers very important or fundamental for the existence of human being, you can say. So throughout the human history, these remain important. So water from the rivers is a basic natural resource essential for the various human activities. We use for irrigation, navigation, hydropower generations, and special. So these were the special significance of the rivers, particularly to the country like India. Lakes and rivers becomes important because India is an agrarian country, and so that's why we need abundance of water to irrigate our land. Next is river pollution. So it is a big challenge and becoming a very big problem for India. So growing domestic, municipal, industrial and the agriculture demand for waters from rivers naturally affects the quality of waters. As a result, more and more water is being drained out of the rivers, reducing their volume. So on the other hand, a heavy load of the untreated sewage and industrial effluents are emptied into the rivers. So this affects not only the quality of water but also the cleansing capacity of the rivers. So concern over the rising populations in our river led to the launching of various action plan to clean the rivers. For example, Ganga Action Plan, Gomti Action Plan, etc. So these plans are devoted to improve the quality of water. So with this, we have come to an end of this chapter. Thank you and have a good day ahead.